guys? Now, I've been I've been wanting to make this vid forever. For those of you that know me, I mean, Maki is my favorite character in the entire series. So I figured it was appropriate to make a deep dive into how powerful this character is, and give you guys kind of, I guess, the iceberg on Maki as a character. We're gonna be going over a lot here, but if you guys do like this kind of video, it's gonna be a longer one. Let me know. I'm happy to make longer videos. I actually shorten a lot of my videos a lot. A lot of them end up about half as long as they originally are, just because I imagine most people don't want to sit and listen to one topic for that long. But if I'm wrong, drop a like. Let me know how wrong I am in the comments. Let's jump into it. So let's just start at the first fight we see with Maki versus Miwa, the end of chapter 39. So immediately, Miwa regards Maki as crazy strong. Now, this is kind of crazy because her reference points are Mekamaru and Todo for strength. And for those that are acquainted with the series, Todo he's well past like baseline grade 1 sorcerer. He's killing special grades before the series even starts during the night parade. Todo is well into grade 1 sorcery, and to think that someone who has worked with him, fought alongside him, thinks Maki is crazy is actually an insane statement right off the bat, especially for the first fight we see this character in. I mean, she immediately believes Maki to be a grade 2 sorcerer solely off the beginning of their fight, before Maki's really done anything crazy. Now, Miwa also rightly points out that Maki is effectively using a long spear in a confined area, and sort of denotes the versatility of Maki's arsenal, as well as the use of these weapons. Namely, when she breaks her spear in half to use as a projectile. Since we aren't using statements at this point, we can simply observe the feat and understand the merits of her versatility, weapon proficiency, effectiveness with these weapons. The reason for Maki doing this seems to be to make it harder for Miwa to defend herself when Maki moves in. Maki, of course, breaks through Miwa's defenses, even though she's using the new Shadow style simple domain, and she disarms her. Not only by using superior strength, obviously, but superior weapon mastery and Aikido. And this is really important for scaling Maki, even at this stage of her career, I guess. I don't know. Of her career, she shows weapon mastery pretty much above anyone we had seen in the series up to this point, and better weapon mastery than anyone we will see, basically until we get to Hidden Inventory, where obviously Toji, the sorcerer killer, the weapon expert himself, pops up, but we'll talk more on that later. Now, in this fight, Maki shows an effective use of 3 different weapons. Obviously, the hidden knife strapped to her leg, the spear, and then Miwa's sword. She has no problem wielding a sword, obviously, and we find this out in the next fight as well. And then she also alters one of her weapons. She takes the spear and she basically throws away her length advantage on this to break it in half, knowing full well she's going to win this fight, obviously. Otherwise, she wouldn't have just broken her weapon. Maki at no point shows herself to be, like, incompetent or rash in her decision-making when she fights. She's actually very, very smart. She knows quite a bit about jujutsu sorcery as well as combat with weapons, so she knows what she's doing. Now, moving on from this, Toji does something similar when he breaks apart Playful Cloud and uses it as a projectile when he's fighting like Megami. He also alters it during the Dagon fight. This seems to be the mark of people who are very, very good with their weapons in JJK, as the people we see do this are the weapon experts. So that's just to denote how strong she actually is, and then on top of that, how good with weapons she is. And this is just the first fight in the series with Maki. The next time we see Maki fighting is in chapter 42. We understand Mai is Maki's sister, and just to kind of give you guys an overview of what Mai is, she is essentially a gunman, right? And Mai has the ability of construction. And for those of you that don't know, construction in jujutsu sorcery is the ability to create objects, I guess. That's the simplest way I can put this. Mai can create a single bullet a day, and she's very, very good at using a a weapon that plays into bluffs. So for example, she's using a 6-shot revolver, and of course she fires 6 shots, and then she can construct a bullet on the fly to fake someone out. They think she's out of ammo, and all of a sudden she shoots a 7th shot, right? So let's just know that going in. So obviously Mai is just using a gun in combat. However, Maki approaches Mai unconcerned with this, bringing a sword to a gunfight, bro. So obviously we see Maki dealing with this fairly effectively. Maki is slicing incoming bullets from Mai's revolver. The bullets here appear to be unlabeled 38 special revolver rounds. These rounds fired from a revolver have a muzzle velocity of about 590 miles per hour, which Maki reacts to in a number of ways. Obviously slicing the bullets in half, but also dodging at point blank range and eventually catching one of the bullets despite being caught off guard by it. Maki chooses to use her sword in this fight despite the range disadvantage, but demonstrates a level of speed and weapon proficiency needed to counter someone using a gun. Now, let's compare this again to Toji. Toji has used a gun before, but we have no feats of him reacting to being shot at, much less catching a bullet or slicing one in half. And outmaneuvering a gunman with a sword, Toji's just never done this. Not to say that he's not fast enough to do so. I'm just bringing this up, for the people that always want to argue that Toji's stronger than Maki. I'm not biased or anything. Further, Maki stomps one of Mai's bullets with her bare hand. Mai's bullets are shown to one-shot Nobara right before this, and we know that Nobara shows higher level durability than most of the other students, and her pain tolerance is nothing to laugh at either. And we know this when we see Nobara fighting the cursed wound. She's taking attacks from special grade curses without falling unconscious, and she even stabs herself a number of times without going into shock, and is so resistant to this pain that she can continue fighting and defeating these special grade curses. Obviously, Mai's bullet hit her once and she went down. She was out. She was knocked unconscious by that. So these bullets are actually kind of insane. And it makes sense because obviously Mai's not just using like a regular gun here, right? Like we know that she has, if you can enhance anything with cursed energy, obviously you're making it stronger. As long as you don't over enhance it, as we see Yuta do early on in the series where he breaks the sword by enhancing it too far, all you're doing is making it stronger. So it makes sense that these bullets would impact or would affect somebody at this level, right? However, again, Maki catches this with her bare hands, something that can knock out somebody who's capable of taking shots from special grade curses. Do with that what you will. Obviously, this shows her durability being on par with something like a special grade cursed spirit, namely the cursed wounds. I'm not saying at this point she's tanking attacks from, the disaster curses or Dagon's max meteor or anything like that. At least not yet. So next, we move on to chapter 47. This is Maki's next appearance. Here we see Maki using a 3-section staff. And this is called Playful Cloud. For those that don't know, Playful Cloud is a special grade curse tool, the highest grade of curse tool you could use. And this cursed weapon, Playful Cloud, actually is stronger based on your own strength, not your cursed energy reserves. For those that don't know, Maki is heavenly restricted. She does not have cursed energy reserves basically at all. So this is almost a perfect weapon for her as she is using her natural strength to fight. And we see that this weapon is actually pretty crazy. The first hit she lands on the special grade curse hanami, one of the disaster curses, one of the more durable ones. Her first hit with this weapon sends Hanami flying through the forest. Now, I was able to make use of pixel scaling here, and we can get a rough estimate based on what we know about these characters. So, relative to Maki's height of 5'7", if we take that and we pixel scale this panel off of that height, you can get a rough estimate that Hanami is propelled about 1,273 feet by Maki. We know Hanami is 7'2". Though Hanami is extremely dense, probably much more heavy than a human, we'll use just the average healthy weight of a person who would be 7'2". This would be 240 pounds to lowball. To further lowball, we will say it takes Hanami a full second to travel this distance. So we have a simple force equation that shows the attack potency is 42,239.65 joules of force, just shy of small building level attack potency, which would be about 50,000 joules. Toji has not shown such a feat through propulsion of an opponent, nor outright destroying a building with any of his attacks. I'm just saying, again, I'm not trying to say that Maki is better than Toji, I'm just throwing this out there. Random comparison. Now, later in the fight, we see Maki switch weapons with Megami, showing again she is comfortable using a wide range of weapons, including Playful Cloud. She has said she does not like this weapon, it does not feel right? Yet she's still using it to whoop on one of the disaster curses. So, we'll just keep that there. Now, as of this fight, she's used 4 different weapons with great proficiency and effectiveness. Maki again shows a high level of durability, comparable to the other students, save Tojo and Yuji. When she is stabbed by Hanami and continues to fight Hanami one-on-one, her speed is also comparable to Hanami throughout the fight, managing to keep up with the curse and react to Hanami's attacks even when not paying attention and distracted by Megami. For example, Hanami tries to sneak attack, stab Maki through the heart. However, even though Maki was paying attention to Megami at this point, she's still able to react to this while off guard and avoid fatal damage, just taking the stab to the arm, of course. Alright. Now, Hanami's speed is shown to be enough to not only react to Todo and Yuji tag team teleporting, but Hanami is also fast enough to react to Gojo's Hollow Purple. Hanami takes about the same amount of damage, and her wounds appear to cover a similar surface area of her body as Toji's when he took a Hollow Purple, despite the fact that Gojo fired a much larger Hollow Purple at Hanami than he did Toji. So if we're looking at this comparatively, Hanami was able to dodge a Hollow Purple about as well as Toji was when it was fired at him, despite the Hollow Purple that Hanami was dodging being much bigger than the one that Toji took. Again, I'm not trying to say that Maki is better than Toji, I'm just throwing out a random comparison. But that is all for this fight for right now. Next we move on to chapter 107, the next fight with Maki. So, here we see Maki fighting yet another disaster curse in Dagon. Now, when Dagon molts into his second form, he immediately launches a ball of water to flood this part of the station that they are fighting in. Maki is the first to be seen recognizing and reacting to this by using her spear as a foothold so she's not washed away or drowns. And this shows a level of ingenuity that Toji never shows with his weapons, as he is always shown to simply use his weapons as weapons. Maki has no trouble keeping pace in triple attacks with Grade 1 Sorcerer Nanami, or the supposed fastest sorcerer aside from Gojo, Naobito, the head of the Zenin clan. Once they have been caught in the domain, however, Naobito and Nanami are immediately dispatched by Dagon's strikes and the swarm inside the domain. Naobito is quickly blitzed and sent flying away by Dagon's punch. Naobito, being too slow to defend himself, and simply takes the punch to the face unguarded. However, when Dagon turns his attention to Maki, Maki is able to react and block Dagon's kick. This kick still sends Maki flying away, obviously. However, she returns in a few seconds, mostly unharmed, and shortly after this, she receives Playful Cloud and decides to fight Dagon one-on-one inside of his domain. In this case, she lands 2 hits on Dagon, unlike Nanami and Naobito, who were far too slow to defend themselves, much less fight back or fight Dagon one-on-one. And we also see that the damage on this is crazy. Now, before we talk about the damage here, let's just look at what the supposed fastest sorcerer, save Gojo, was able to do. So, Naobito tries to get a sneak attack on Dagon here, but again, even in a sneak attack, is too slow to land. Dagon simply dodges it, despite looking away from Naobito when the sneak attack is launched. Maki, on the other hand, lands her strikes, and her attacks with Playful Cloud do cause damage, the first grazing Dagon, and even that is enough to tear a piece of his arm from his body, and the second strike breaking his posture completely, slamming him into the ground, and injuring his other arm, forcing him to heal them both in the next panel. Now, this is crazy crazy because, again, this is Maki showing that she is beyond both of these sorcerers, both of them well into grade 1, right? And we can go further into this a little bit later when we're comparing Toji and his feats later on. But for now, I think that's all we need to say about this. Next, we move on to chapter 148. Here we see Maki fight Ogie one-on-one. Now, for those of you that don't know, Ogie is the brother of Naobito, and Ogie claims that the only reason he is not the head of the Zenin clan is it has nothing to do with strength. It's because the children he bore are considered worthless to the Zenin clan, because Mai is extremely weak, and then obviously Maki herself does not have any sorcery at all. On top of the fact that this clan is stupidly sexist, living in the 50s, and thinks that just women are not good for some reason. I don't know what's wrong with these kids. Anyway, so in this fight, Maki opts to use Dragon Bone, the 6th weapon, by the way, we've seen her use up to this point. Ogie begins the fight by using Falling Blossom, a technique that outpaces the speed of sure-hit Shikigami coming into existence. Now, let me go back a little bit to explain this to you guys. So, Falling Blossom emotion is what Naobito used in Dagon's domain to counteract the sure-hit effects of the swarm. Now, this is actually a stupidly fast feat. So let me put this in perspective for you guys. In Dagon's domain, the fish and the swarm that are the sure hit effect of the domain, they don't just simply come at you and they're guaranteed to hit. These things don't exist until they have already hit you. Now, the speed of this is just absurd. The speed of something not existing until it hits you is so beyond like light speed, massively faster than light speed, all of that. There's simply no reasonable measure for how fast this actually is, right? So if we wanna scale that, I'm going to do it a little bit later in the video, but just understand this is absurdly fast because this move, Falling Blossom, is outpacing the coming into existence of something, which is absurd. Now, that being said, this is absurd. Now, Maki not only reacts to this attack, she counters and breaks Ogie's sword, showing superiority in both speed and technique, and strength if we really want to go there, but, we won't talk about that just yet. The fight is brief, and it ends with Maki being caught off guard by Ogie. He manages to land a slash on Maki's face, cutting her eye, and I guess Maki just passed on after this. We really don't see why she went down after this, but whatever, we'll just roll with it. So, that's all for this fight for now. Now we move on to chapter 149. This is where we see Maki post-awakening, and let me just explain what happened to you guys. Basically, when twins are born in the Jujutsu world, they're treated as one entity. So one of them will usually get the potential, the Jujutsu potential of both of them, instead of them both getting, their own abilities and their own reserves of cursed energy. So in this case, that's what happened to Maki and Mai. That is why Maki's heavenly restriction isn't as crazy as Toji's, and that's why Mai, as a Jujutsu sorcerer, is very, very low grade, right? She can only create one small bullet a day. Her one ability is construction, and she can create something that is not even half a pound, and she can do it once, and get a nosebleed, and that's it. So, not impressive. However, in this particular case, Mai decides to sacrifice her life to fully awaken Maki, let Maki show her full potential as a heavenly restricted user, and in giving up her life, she also makes her remnants. She leaves a replica of a cursed weapon called Split Soul Katana for Maki. So now Maki, at this point, comes out of this training ground chamber that she was supposed to die in, not only with one of the most broken weapons in this entire verse, the Soul Split Katana, which, by the way, attacks the soul directly. It is probably the most pure form of durability negation we've ever seen in the series. But she's also basically Toji, the boogeyman of not only the Zenin clan, Gojo's boogeyman. Like, the dude was called the Sorcerer Killer for a reason, and he was, before Sukuna, the only person who really pressed Gojo. Like, pressing Gojo, it speaks for itself. And now the Zenin clan is looking at Maki, realizing that, yeah, they got the sequel now, you know? So, immediately in this fight, obviously, it does not go well for Ogie. He instantly sees this. You see his eyes light up. You see his pants are soiled. It's over, right? He tries to use another technique, Blazing Courage. We don't really know anything about this technique, and we don't really need to, because it is shown for all of the last quarter second of Ogie's life before Maki just blitz it. I don't even know what to call this panel. Like, he doesn't even realize he's dead before Maki has already killed him, walked past him, and is already, like, having a conversation with her sword. This is so absurdly fast. This isn't even just perception blitz at that point. It's just, she's perception blitzing somebody who is supposedly an equal to the fastest sorcerer alive, aside from Gojo. Again, her speed, just unbelievably fast, right? To perception blitz, I mean, we can throw some calcs on screen, but she does have faster feats than this, and we'll get to those. So there's not much point in going into that just yet. So next we move right into chapter 150. I mean, we're seeing the Zenin clan massacre. Maki starts by destroying a few dozen, Zenin martial artists. Mind you, these guys, they were part of the same kind of training that Maki got when she was younger, and it doesn't go well. These guys are... Bro, like, this is the closest we see JJK come to being, like, Doom. Like, you know how Doom guys just running through hell? Just fodderizing? Just hundreds? Just everybody he runs to... This is what Maki's doing. She's Doom guy in the Zenin clan. Wow. Next we see their best sorcerers. The Hiei group, right? Now, the Hiei group is just the strongest sorcerers of the Zenin, save Naoya, obviously. Maki kind of just runs their pockets. She has no trouble with this. They're using just, like, moves that are mostly unnamed. Yeah, they do about negative damage to her. I think Maki was legit getting healed off these hits, like... And some of these don't look like fodder moves. Look at this. Look at the hands of fucking Allah coming out of the ground to, like, smite her. And then, like, you have this crazy, like, this Deku full cowling 200% infinite, like, just cratering the ground. Doesn't matter. She eats it. They try to stun Maki. They try to hit her with the stun lock, the CC chain. Doesn't matter. She pushes against the ethereal... How do you even do that? This is stupid. This is absurd. Now, this shows a few things, right? Obviously, this is multi-level building level attacks, because obviously most of the Zenin estate is destroyed by this one here. Then you also have something that appears to be pure cursed energy, which she pushes, and it's destroyed, so obviously she can interact with cursed energy. And then apparently all of the Hiei are grade 1 sorcerers. Doesn't really matter, she's been a grade 1 sorcerer forever, right? Next, we have for some reason, this dude Naoya thinking he can pull up, right? Now, this is a brief fight. Maki opts to fight Naoya unarmed from the start. So Naoya tries to catch Maki from behind, and he just gets blitzed. She turns around, hits him with a quick mix-up. Maki ends the fight with a single punch. And mind you, this is when he's using his projection sorcery, going through the 24 frames per second, and it's stated on panel for us. This is Naoya's top speed. Again, this is the third person who's in that class of fastest sorcerer in the verse that Maki just blitzes. And one-shots, like quite literally one-shots. This dude is cratered into the ground. He is missing teeth. He's got Maki's fist imprinted in his face. Like, Naoya did pretty dirty here, and I'm not even mad about it. He earned it. This dude sucks. This is the dude who was, like, bragging about bullying Maki when they're younger. Mind you, let's not forget, Naoya's like 10 years older than Maki. Like, throughout this story, like, they're not like the same age, right? He's legit like 10 years older than her. And apparently he bullied Mai too. So, like, what is wrong with this dude? He earned this ass whooping in full, bro. 100%. Now, let's look at this feat. This is interesting because, as a side note, Naoya was durable enough to take hits from Choso. And Choso was capable of harming Kenjaku, and Kenjaku's shown durable enough to withstand Yuki's Garuda and Black Hole. Now, I'm not saying that Choso did nearly as much damage as either of those things. However, harming him at all shows that he is approaching that level of durability. And that puts Kenjaku's durability, just, if we want to say Black Hole, it puts Kenjaku's durability at, like, star level. And I think that's just ridiculous. Let's not put it there. If we really want to measure his durability, you can measure it off his arms being broken by Yuki. And we see that Yuki being able to kick Garuda through a special grade curse. That's more reasonable, right? And Yuki's more than, she's shown, I can probably go over this in like a short or something, but Yuki's shown to also be about multi-building level with just like her raw punches, not including Garuda's like conception, like not including Yuki's like concept ignoring Garuda or the mini black hole she creates. So multi-building level durability is a little bit more in line with what Gege probably meant here, as opposed to just calling Kenjaku star level, right? But obviously, if Naoya scales somewhat close to the durability of Kenjaku, and Kenjaku scales to multi-building level in durability, then Maki one-shotting him kind of puts her at that level. And I think that's about as reasonable as you're going to get out of me as far as like scaling her AP right there. So, next we move on to 192. Now here we see Maki fight Naoya again, but this is Curse Naoya. Now Naoya initiates the battle with an attack so fast that Noritoshi can't react to it. And again, this is another piercing blood user. He is, we can scale him at a different time, but just understand Noritoshi's fast, right? And he can't even keep up with it. Now, the high-speed tackle on Maki destroys multiple buildings, about a city block's worth of fully grown trees and forestry as well, and unsurprisingly, Maki blocks the attack, suffering no damage. She is not worried in any of these panels, right? And then she goes on to blitz Naoya, picking up his giant body, throwing him into Noritoshi's attacks, and then she just decides to one-shot him and cuts him in half. Like, are you kidding me right now? Again, this is why I like the scaling of multi-building level to maybe city for Maki, because right here, Curse Naoya shows multi-building level feats. He's then one-shotted by Maki. Like, so multi-building seems to be the most consistent at this point of the story for Maki scaling. So that would probably be best for her AP there, right? As far as this fight, I mean, there's not too much else to say. Of course, Maki's just stronger than this dude. Like, she's faster. Like, what do you want me to say? She's him. Anyway, next we move on to 194. So here we see Naoya in his second form, and things get a little bit more real, right? He begins by attacking Kamo, but he's just too slow, and is intercepted by Maki. So even after this, she's still faster than him. Naoya then flies in circles, reaching his max speed, and attacks Maki at top speed, of course. Now, Maki is hit, and after a moment, she laughs, and she kicks him away. Like, this kind of attack still is nothing to her. Again, this attack, it's not shown to be fully city level. We can calc it to get some crazy numbers, but I don't want to do that because I really feel like Gege sometimes doesn't mean to make things as strong as they do. Hollow purple. And then, like, we can just sit here and we can observe the feat. This is clearly meant to be another multi-building level feat. And Maki just eats it. She's fine. She's laughing it off. Now, after this, we see that the fight is interrupted by a sumo and a katana enthusiast. After a brief sumo match, Maki bests the sumo and begins maneuvering around the city, easily avoiding and countering all of Naoya's attacks. Barehanded, beating barehandedly beating Naoya into his third form. Good lord. That means that Maki, like her bare hands, multi-building level, easily, just offer it, right? Now, there's a few things to note here. We're talking about, obviously supersonic speeds and multi-building level AP. So just as a recap for you guys, what we can say reasonably of her scaling from here, that's about what we're looking at. And we know the durability scales to your AP somewhat in Jujutsu Kaisen, except in cases like Hanami, where Hanami is basically shown and stated to be more durable than she is potent in attack or offense, if you will. So next, we move to chapter 198. As we see here, now he's in his third form, his first order of business, opening up domain expansion. That didn't go well. He's instantly just one-shotted by Maki, and then cut in half, and then she shatters his domain. Like, this is a very short fight. Wow. Wowza. What sucks is I can't really show a lot of this on YouTube because Maki's kind of cold with it. Like, she legit just cut the dude in half. Like, that is messed up. But we do get something interesting here. We find out that Maki, because of her heavenly restriction, is not recognized normally by domain expansions. She's recognized as either a physical structure or as another barrier in some cases by the way that they explain some other domains. This means that Maki can't really be targeted for sure hit effects for the most part, except in the case of like Sukuna, whose sure hit effects can also target inanimate objects with Dismantle. However, the rest of these little domains is not looking good. It's not looking good for them. Yeah, that's pretty much all for Naoya's third form. Round 3 was a one-punch knockout, and wow, just wow. Next, we move on to chapter 215. Now, here we see Maki encounter Sukuna directly for the first time. We see that Maki is unharmed from Nue's blast, a chapter 2 earlier. And as the fight begins, Maki, she's putting hands on this dude. I'm gonna keep it a buck, bro. Like, she's blocking and countering Sukuna in hand-to-hand combat. The dude who was just putting hands on Yuji, one of our best handmen in the entire series. Like, come on now. Now, she's able to obviously catch his strikes, counter him. She lands a couple, right? The first 2 hits, obviously just quick little hook to the face, that's nice. And then she just just pushes him. She legit, it's like school bullying this dude. She just pushes him through the little fence right here. She's having no trouble with this at all. She's like kind of styling on him. Next, she's also able to kind of speed things up. We see that when she talks about speeding things up, she's able to keep pace with Sukuna. She gets a little bit ahead of him in this manga panel. I don't want to think too much of this. However, I will say she's able to grab Yuji, swing him around, and try to beat Sukuna with someone else. Dude, what in the... Bro, what is this? Not even power scaling wise. This is just ridiculous. Who does this shit? And then, like, right after, I mean, there is this weird scene where Sukuna is kind of, like, blocking both of them, like, at the same time, one hand each. I've always thought this was stupid. Like, honestly, this makes no sense. Like, I'm sorry, there's 4 hands to his 2. Like, he's not that fast. Like, let's chill out, okay? Anyway, from here, Sukuna is actually able to pull a little sneaky. He uses Cleave to shatter the ground and create an opportunity to land his one and only hit on Maki, which Maki just spits off, and even Sukuna's like, damn, okay, nice. And then the fight is interrupted by the ice simp himself, freezing most of the area. Sukuna flees while Maki's frozen, and he does say that it was probably smart of Arame to focus most of that freezing on Maki. I'm not saying Sukuna was scared. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying he didn't want that fight to continue. I'm not making no implications. That's all I'm saying. So now we can move on to some of the other forms of scaling we have here, but just to recap for you guys, right? These feats, if we take them only at face value, no context, no real, like, aside from obviously the hanami feat, no calcs, nothing like that, then as of right now, Maki would be supersonic in speed, and she would have multi-building level AP and durability, as well as obviously hacks resistance, 2 domain expansions. She would also have things in her arsenal that are pretty dangerous. Soul Split Katana is one of the most broken things in the verse. The durability negation on it, just obscene. Okay. And then she would have better demonstrated weapon versatility than Toji. Just obviously the amount of weapons she's used, and then using them in more creative ways than Toji. So, we have that. That's like the baseline Maki scaling. If you do not like Maki, you can end the video right here, because I'm gonna make this so much worse, and I'm gonna tell you guys how I scale Maki, right? How I think it should go. If you don't want to hear this, I 100% understand, because this is gonna get wild. So next, let's start adding context to these things. So first of all, special grade curses are supposed to be able to contend or be somewhat relative with special grade sorcerers. And we know that grade 1 sorcerers are supposed to be able to be approaching special grade level and be able to take down lower end special grade, grade 1 sorcerers are supposed to be able to take down lower end special grades. So like someone like Toto, who's a grade 1 sorcerer, he's expected to probably beat something like the Finger Bearer. Whereas like special grade sorcerers are pretty much the last line of defense. They're the Avengers, they're the A-team, right? And we know that to be a special grade sorcerer, you have to be capable of taking over a country, right? And we know that the disaster curses, Kenjaku thinks, could contend with the special grade curses. So with that said, things like hanami, jogo, dagon, in Kenjaku's mind, can contend with some of the special grade curses. Now, or special grade sorcerers. Now, I mean, no, not in a million years. However, we know that Kenjaku is aware of the grading system, and that means that he believes the disaster curses could take over a country. And take over a country is left somewhat to interpretation, whether it be destroy the country or take it over somehow. In Geto's case, they believe that he could, take over a country because he just has an army of manipulated cursed spirits that he could just unleash, and it's not really much like an army of like humans is going to do against that. And in most cases, there's probably not enough jujutsu sorcerers to stop like Kenjaku if he unleashes all of them and someone like Yuta or Gojo's not there. That makes sense. Yuki could open a black hole and just blow up the country. Okay, fair enough. Gojo. Enough said. Yuta can copy techniques, and he also has Rika. I mean, just with that, there's really not any good way to stop him. If the rest of the sorcerers tried to jump Yuta, they'd probably just die. Like, it's not like they're gonna beat Yuta. Yuta is probably considered a special grade like sorcerer because there's nothing in any individual country that's going to beat him except for another special grade, right? Now, we have hyped up the special graded sorcerers enough. Kenjaku seems to think the disasters could take over a country. Maki fights and kind of pieces up 2 of them, right? She was messing up hanami before she got snuck. Like, the only reason that, like, Maki really, like, gets behind in that fight with hanami is because she lets herself get stabbed off guard. And hanami even says, like, oh, okay, now she's not as sharp as before. And immediately after saying this, like, Maki's wrapped up. She's just, like, she's kind of just done, right? She's injured. She's not fighting at 100% anymore, but it didn't really matter because she was just stalling for time anyway. So we know she wasn't even trying to kill hanami. She was just stalling, and she was still piecing her up on the low, right? And then the second one, Dagon. In Dagon's domain is where Dagon is the strongest for obvious reasons, just how a domain works, but also he has the swarm. And the fact that the swarm comes into existence as it's hitting you, like it does not exist until it hits you, first of all, that's a measurable speed. That's not even infinite speed, that is a measurable speed to try to counter that. However, Falling Blossom, Naobito's technique, the countermeasure to sure hit effects, is outpacing this. It is faster than that, right? And we know it's not just canceling the effects of a domain, because it's clearly stated right here. I'm going to circle it for you in the video. It's stated right here this is not opening another domain, so it's not canceling out the sure hit effects. It's just so damn fast, it is outpacing something that doesn't exist until it hits you. This is a measurable speed. Maki, on the other hand, beats this same technique, like, what, 20 chapters later? Where someone else uses Falling Blossom to attack her. She not only reacts to it, she counters it, breaks the dude's sword, and then she gets an amp, it comes back faster and strong. Like, this is so stupid to me. The fact that they basically put on display an immeasurable speed technique and then had Maki outpace it, that's insane. So right off the bat, we have a measurable speed Maki. Fight me if you don't like it. Anyway, next for AP. So we can really get crazy with some AP on this, but I don't really want to because I don't think it's fair, right? Because if we really want to get crazy with AP, we can put her like at country level just based on her like just messing up the disaster curses, and supposedly they are capable of taking over a country. I don't like that argument, right? All right. So for AP, to be honest, it would sort of be dependent on what she has. So let's say she has split soul katana. Inverse, her AP is basically it would be irrelevant, right? Because her hitting you with split soul katana is just durability negation. Like, it doesn't matter how strong you are, it doesn't matter like how durable you are, it doesn't matter like how you want to protect yourself or how tough you are. It ignores toughness. It just goes to your soul directly. And we haven't seen people reinforce their souls. That's just not something that happens in Jujutsu Kaisen. So as far as AP, as long as she has that sword, you're cooked. Her AP is yes. That is her AP. It is just yes. So long as she has that sword, it doesn't matter. As far as durability, Maki's durability is actually kind of crazy. Just, number one, we know that she's naturally tough, but she's also, like, eating attacks from Sukuna. She's eating attacks from Ogie, and, like, the idea that, like, she's tanking these abilities from, like, Cursed Naoya in his second state, we can just say, we'll just leave it at, like, multi-building level, right? But as far as speed, I mean, yeah, that's crazy. She has the two stats that she needs to pretty much destroy anyone in the verse. Obviously being speed at immeasurable, and then AP scaling to yes, and all of it. And like, what's the answer to this, right? Because Gojo, the way to get through Gojo's barrier, aside from like domain amplification or having Maharaga spoon feed you, like an adaptation to it, is literally just to be, you know, beyond infinite speed, right? Like, if you were a magnitude of infinity above, like, infinity, yeah, you'd get through Gojo's barrier. Because, obviously, like, he's just utilizing an infinite series of events to slow you down to the point where you don't really stop, but you're slowing down forever, and you're never gonna reach him. Maki with immeasurable speed would just get through that barrier. And then she's gonna, like, I don't know, carve a smile into Gojo's face, and he's gonna have like a Joker moment like 10 years down the line, traumatized by Maki. Yet another heavenly restriction user. Damn. It's tough out here for Gojo fans. And then, like, what do you do if she hits you with Soul Split Katana? No one has a defense to this. Like, the best argument you would have is like maybe Mahito, like changing the shape of his soul to like maybe move out of the way of like the cut itself, until you realize that Maki's so much faster than him that like she would probably literally turn him into dust with the amount of like cuts he would receive. Like, I'm sorry, there's just no argument against this. These are the reasons why like I actually have Maki so high. If I scale her like my way, which to be fair, the speed scaling is actually the most important thing, because we don't really have like another interpretation. There's no here or there about how fast like Falling Blossom is. The fact that that thing can outpace something that doesn't exist until it hits you is just a measurable speed. There's no other way to interpret that. And Maki blitzing it puts her at that speed before she even awakens. Right? Then we don't even need to get into the fact that she has like this weird form of precog where she like senses changes within the world and can sense like attacks coming at her before they've like even come to, like, what kind of nonsense was Gege smoking when he decided to write this character? Like, Heavenly Restriction might actually just be the most broken ability in the series. This is stupid. But Sukuna. Sukuna doesn't have this kind of speed. Like, again, he just gets dropped. He would not be able to understand the fight started before Maki cuts his head off. And again, Soul Split Katana makes this possible. Yes, Sukuna is extremely durable, but it doesn't matter because Soul Split Katana doesn't understand. Like, Soul Split Katana literally just doesn't acknowledge durability as a thing. So, like, Sukuna's cooked, Gojo's cooked, and once you cook the top two, I mean, what? Who is she not gonna cook? What, you... Okay, let's say anyone opens a domain. Maybe Gojo's is, like, a problem. If Maki didn't have a measurable speed to go through it and just, obviously, just kill him long before the effects of, like, the domain hit her. Sukuna's domain, same problem. Like, he's dead long before he can even activate it, and even if he does, like, she gets to him before a single dismantle gets to Maki. And it would be a dismantle that gets to Maki because, again, he uses, in his domain, dismantle to attack anything without cursed energy or inanimate objects, right? Still doesn't matter, right? There's no counter to this. That is actually why I have Maki as number 1 in the verse in my own scaling. And on top of that, I mean, we can compare this to Toji if you want. Like, I have a calc that I posted not too long ago where I was able to calc Toji's speed to 6 quintillion miles per hour, right? And I think this is crazy, but I just wanted to see how high I could get it. Even if I give Toji the craziest scaling I possibly can, no, he's done. He's done. Like, he's cooked. He's fried. He's well done. He's mopped. He's washed. All that. Toji does not compare to this, right? But yeah, that is every way to scale Maki. I mean, we've gone through the reasonable side. We've gone through how I want to scale her. If you guys have any questions at all, or if you just want to tell me I'm wrong, feel free to leave it in the comments. Again, if you guys like longer videos, we can do some longer videos. I'm all for it. Let me know. Drop a subscribe if you would like to see more JJK takes, more based, completely accurate scaling. Feel free to keep up with me. But other than that, guys, be safe. Take it easy.